Hey, it's Bernie Goldbach in the back garden looking at halal art. When I was in Kilkenny, I used to watch guys painstakingly slaughter animals in their back garden and barbecue it. And this is part of the Spectrum magazine, which is inside Sun Times magazine, where photographers have painstakingly recreated how to do slaughter in terms of compliance with Islamic law. And it's a series exposing religious culture. The imagery is done by twin brothers Hassan and Hussein Essop. Inside Sunday Times Magazine. That's Dirty Harry. The Blondie star still smoldering. I've got some of her stuff. I think what I'll do today is I'll play it. Maybe I'll favorite her on iTunes. You can see more about what I am, or listen to what I do, audioboo.fm/topgold, or over on insideview.ie, my website, or I tweet topgold. We'll look at the Sunday Times and the Sunday Business Post. Actually, we'll look at the big news, which is Ireland slammed the door on the Brits yesterday, 24-8. Big deal. Irish, two more of those kind of wins, and Ireland will be out of this recession. Front page, lots of stuff about Libya. Allied planes are bombing targets. 20 years ago, would have known the guys flying those missions. Inside the paper, it's Damien Kyberd, Irish Outlook, talking about the corporation tax row. The vultures are circling, and here's the story he makes out of it. He says, you know what, Angela Merkel, if you're really concerned about Germany's loss of revenue, then why don't you just drive your tanks over to Luxembourg and Belgium? I know guys that would do that. They'd literally drive their 7 Series BMWs over to Luxembourg, get 4% tax rates, avoiding the German tax man. There's a Japanese crisis. Carl West, Danny Forston points out what's happening in Japan. Nearly 100 manufacturing choke points have been identified affecting factories across the globe. Not sure how that's going to bear out in Ireland. It will bear out as an impact to the consumer electronics market. 500,000 people are going to train online for free, says Tom Lyons. Galway technology entrepreneur Mike Furyk has got this e-learning program called Advanced Learning and Interactive Systems Online. Ellison, I've asked him about it through my nickname called ICT EDU. I think it's worth looking at. This is also worth looking at how Tom Moore and the crew are going to do their next animation feature film. I log it under a thing called Create. Ethna Shortle points out that Tom Moore was concerned about trying to keep control of the next concept, that actually the current script is The Secret of Kells. So he's keeping it tight. He's not going with DreamWorks. He's also trying a different strategy. He's going to release the next film in the US and the UK first, because Irish, normally pan-Irish things. Good on you, Tom. Cartoon Saloon up in Kilkenny, a place worth visiting. Real creativity. Biffo takes the hit. Sense of denial is going to KO Fiona Foyle, says Michael Clifford. And he points out something that Brian Cowan's tenor as Taoiseach is going to be viewed perhaps harshly, but the real killer is going to be when people look at the finance minister's brief that he held and how he hurt the country, as well as Charlie McCreevy and Bertie Ahern. All of those things are going to be an excellent book, required reading on the history of Ireland about the meltdown. How is Ireland going to get out of the problem? College master's degrees might be one way. Kathy Foley has a story that I would tag as innovation. And I have this nick, ICT EDU, because we have an event in May about the proper use of ICT in education. And what Kathy's saying is we really need people who can generate knowledge. Master's degrees of about 1 year, very focused. And they won't be as revenue generating actually for the colleges involved, but they will actually result in a better deal for Ireland Inc. as a more targeted kind of information system or education starts to happen. Can't be better targeted than the Nyler 9. Inside the Culture magazine of the Sunday Times, Nyler 9's profile as being a real influencer. The article is called Who Pulls Our Strings, and they have different people in the Sunday Times, the Irish edition, who had a look at different pundits, writers, creatives. Jennifer O'Connell might be concerned about that because she's at Jen O'Connell online, a lot of networks, and her point is there's so much information out there, and we're overloading with it. Phone calls, potentially insults, if you read the Twitter stream of George Hook last weekend. And her point, as she discovered in the Science Gallery of Ireland, is so much of our working life is predicated on the assumption that we can do many things at once, and yet the way the human minds wired, you really can't. So inside the Sunday Business Post, can I reduce this to where it doesn't hurt your head? Still worried about AIB, the bank that I bank with. It's going to be a real problem. There are politicians worried about it as well. So like, here's an elected TD. Mick Wallace owes a lot of money to banks. It's tough in Ireland. You get made bankrupt, you're not going to be able to be a politician. International tourism ahead of state visits. Nicola Cook points out that Barrack, he's announced he's coming to Ireland, and with his exciting potential follow-on announcement that he's going to put an apostrophe in his name there, Obama, from Moneygall. It's really going to be cool. The impact is this: look, when National Broadcasting Commission or corporation, the NBC network in the U.S. ran a lengthy feature in Ireland last year, the Aer Lingus phone lines could hardly cope with the demand for bookings. So the value of someone like Barrack visiting is really big. Christ, could you imagine what would happen if he stopped at a chip shop? Criminy. That'd be on the map. Change. Big important change. If this actually happens, Pat Leahy, the political editor of Sunday Business Post, is pointing out that in Ireland, you can't get elected unless you deal with people's sewer grates and hedgerows. So the Taoiseach Enda Kenny has promised that his new ministers aren't going to have to do any kind of work locally in the first 100 days of office. That means he's had to detail people to handle the phone lines and the follow-ups, because people will continue calling about sewer grates, hedgerows, bus schedules, grants, things like that you can find out online, but they take the call to the Taoiseach. To the Taoiseach first, because he's actually an elected politician, and then they get results. A lot of laziness in the way we deal with stuff here in Ireland. The German press sees Ireland and the euro together. Pat Leahy points out that what the German press is saying, the Die Welt is saying, that Enda Kenny is not yet ready to accept the higher corporation tax in return for an interest rate reduction on Ireland's emergency loan. So it's actually being put out there in the business press in Germany, perhaps in England, and in France, that Enda has to take a hit and charge corporations more. But you know, look at the back story. There's plenty of workarounds that the French and German companies do to avoid corporation tax. It's just horses for courses. Looking for a way out, I would trust Michael Noonan facing up against Jean-Claude Trichet. And Cliff Taylor in the Sunday Business Post points out, it all depends on how much Michael has to spend when bailing out the banks. The Irish recovery directly related to writing down some of that loan. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. It takes months, as we discovered, to actually get a political and financial strategy that works. This might be part of it. Bill Holohan's saying, you really need to change. Get out of this lobster pot of Irish bankruptcy. Very hard to survive once you get made bankrupt. It is kind of easier to create stuff. That's Fred Herrera, and he is a program manager for Create at Dún Laoghaire. Recommended. If you're involved in digital media, these guys have a really good cluster dynamic going on down in Dún Laoghaire. Inside the Sunday Business Post technology section, O2 is exploring new revenue streams. Check it out, boys. If the iPhone 5 doesn't come with a near-field communications chip, you wonder how far that's going to actually go in the near term. Several Nokia phones have that NFC chip on board. Adrian Weckler gives a warning, says cyber criminals are getting smarter. Hey, here's what I say. Your problem starts with bad apps. So what he's pointing out is malware is actually a way to exploit your phone, take your money silently from your phone, and that is a rising concern. Okay, my big concern today is, can I get more growth here? So Peter Donegan, if you're watching my YouTube/topgold stream, you can see what's emerging from my pot. And you might notice I use fixed coffee here, put the grounds in, and that's my compost. You can see more of my images, flickr.com/photos/Irish eyes. You can follow me out on twitter.com/topgold. Listen to me on Audioboo. I've got work to do, can't you tell? Thanks for listening. Bernie Ball back in Cashel, County Tipperary, Ireland, the back garden, saying bye for now.